Hey guys, Dr. Scott Payne here with Parkway Family Chiropractic. And I decided to take a little bit of time out of my day to make this video about this nerd word called methylation. So I've been having conversations with many of you in the office about random health ailments, and you want to know if detoxification programs or purification programs would have any benefit for you. So there's many things you've asked about. Blood sugar imbalances, blood pressure problems, cholesterol problems, thyroid disorders, infertility, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, all the digestive complaints with irritable and inflammatory bowel. And we always go back to talking about this one process called methylation. Now, I know that's a new term for a lot of you. So could one process in the body have so much to do with such a broad spectrum of ailments? What's the science behind that? Why would we say that? I know, but I need you to know, so I'm making this educational series to try to help you understand. So what is it, and why should you care that 52% of you struggle with it and don't even know it? So from a detoxification standpoint, your body uses methyl groups to attach them to toxins that get into your body, and that helps mark them for elimination. So this happens in phase 2 detox in your liver. Now, in chemistry terms, a methyl group is a carbon with 3 hydrogens attached. Now, your body makes these constantly all day long. So as chiropractors, we tell you all the time, you are born with a blueprint for health and wellness. Your body knows how to run its programs for health. Your nervous system facilitates that, and everything that happens inside your body is constantly under the direction of your brain or the control of your brain. Silly examples that we give are, when you sleep, your heart doesn't forget to beat and you don't forget to breathe because your body knows what to do to keep itself healthy. Well, if it's going to dedicate the time and energy to make methyl groups at a rate of 1 billion times per second, then you should understand that that is vital not only for your health and wellness, and I'm not going to overstate this, it is vital for your survival. Now, methylation is your body's way of basically dealing with those toxins, but it also deals with stress and infection. And I'm going to break down each of those categories and how it helps. But from an antioxidant standpoint, methylation cycles help your body make one of its strongest antioxidants, which is called glutathione. Now, I don't know if you've heard that term before, but I know you've heard of antioxidants. So to give you some ideas, antioxidants, they are your body's way of dealing with the oxidative stress that comes from having free radicals. So people have taken and used antioxidants for many things, like anti-aging or slowing down the aging process, from just a health and wellness standpoint, from a cancer prevention standpoint, and to help you get well when you're sick. And one of the ones they reach for, the most popular ones you guys reach for, is vitamin C. Well, vitamin C, the way it can actually neutralize a free radical is it has to donate or share electrons. So vitamin C contributes or shares 5 electrons to neutralize free radicals from damage in your body. Vitamin E is another super popular one, and it can donate 3 electrons to neutralize a free radical. Well, glutathione donates 1 million electrons to help deal with free radicals and oxidative stress in your body. So that hopefully will give you a gauge of the power of this antioxidant. And it's one of those things that you have a hard time taking through supplement for your body to be able to use it, but your body makes it, okay? And it makes it as a byproduct through this methylation cycle. Well, let me tell you something about glutathione. It is the #1 intracellular antioxidant in your body. Now, what does that mean? Why did I highlight that term, intracellular? That means it's inside of your cell. Not just in your blood, but inside of each of your cells, you have this protective antioxidant called glutathione. Now, why is that so important? Because most of the toxins that we're exposed to in our daily environment, let's say like BPA and phthalates from your plastics or dioxins or pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, these toxins are basically fat soluble or fat loving, and the way your cell is made up, the outer wall, your cell membrane, has 2 layers. It's a phospholipid bilayer. Well, fat loving things have an easy time dispersing through that layer and getting inside the cell. So when you have these toxins in your life, you can bet they're seeping right through that cell membrane, and they can damage vital structures inside of your cell, which are going to be your mitochondria, which is your powerhouse or your energy producer of the cell. And when you wreck that, you're talking about wiped out. You're talking about chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. And the other thing inside the cell that you really want to protect is your nucleus, because the nucleus of that cell has your DNA. And when you're talking about a toxin that gets inside of your cells and causes damage to mutate your DNA, and then that cell replicates, what category are we talking about? We're talking about the cancer category. Glutathione being inside that cell is going to stop those toxins when they get in and keep them from damaging those vital structures. Another really important thing to know about glutathione, because this is Autism Awareness Month, and you've seen it in our office, the Light Up Blue for Autism. We have the relay coming up, or the fun run, and we're trying to raise awareness of the research that's out there for autism. But glutathione in children with autism is found that 80% of autistic kids are deficient in glutathione. And it's not only that they're deficient, it's that their levels are plummeted. They have less than half the level of kids that don't express autism. So, another nerd word, epigenetics. I'm going to see how many nerd words I can get into this presentation this afternoon. But epigenetics is essentially the study of how your genes can be affected by your environment. Okay? So, genes load the gun, the environment pulls the trigger. That means that, look at this Time Life article they did called Why Your DNA Isn't Your Destiny. What that means is that just because you have the gene for any number of health elements, it doesn't mean that your body has to express that gene, okay? So you actually have something that sits on top of your genome. So if you look at your DNA, at your genome, and then right on top of that, you have the epigenome, which is where methyl groups can attach and act as switches to turn off and suppress bad genes. That means the genes that are linked to obesity, the genes that are linked to diabetes, the genes that are linked to cancer can be turned off by methyl groups. Now, what can turn on those switches are right here: stress, toxins, diet, and infections. Those things turn on your bad genes, and methyl groups turn off those bad genes and suppress them from showing. Now, quick side note, quick story, because I don't think I can talk about the value of epigenetics and methylation without sharing this story. And it was a study done on mice. And what they studied was the agouti gene. Now, the agouti gene was a gene that expressed obesity and thyroid problems in mice. And they took two twin mice, identical DNA, and they gave one of those mice a toxin derived from BPA, which is the toxin we're all trying to avoid from plastics. But when they subjected that mouse to the BPA toxin, what they found was it turned on the agouti gene, which made that mouse obese and started having thyroid problems with yellowing of the fur and drying of the skin. And it didn't matter what they fed him. It didn't matter how much they exercised him. There was no weight loss compared to his sibling, the twin, who was perfectly healthy and didn't express any of that. And so what the alarming thing about this is remember, they turned that gene on by administering a toxin, okay? Now, that mouse's offspring then expressed the same gene. It was turned on for the offspring. So they struggled with obesity. They struggled with the thyroid problems. And so what they did is they administered a methyl group, okay, to the offspring, and they were able to suppress that gene, turn it off, and those mice could then lose weight and could get their thyroid balanced out. And then the next offspring down the line were born with that gene turned off. Now, the value of knowing that study, and I'm simplifying a lot of the details, but the value of knowing that study is that epigenetics proves that your health is not just an expression of what you think, say, and do, but it's also an expression of what your grandparents thought, said, and did. Now, what a concept is that? 3 to 4 generations. Once you turn on these genes, 3 to 4 generations can be born with those genes turned on, which means the way you take care of yourself is going to affect the way your kids are born and your grandkids are born. Now, if that doesn't shake you and get you more interested in understanding this concept, then I don't know what would. But epigenetics is the study at how we can suppress those genes through our environment, okay? Now, methylation also affects not just your epigenome and your DNA, but it affects your nervous system. So, chiropractors, obviously our focus is the nervous system. Your nervous system has something called a stress response, which is part of your sympathetic nervous system. For that to turn on, it's your fight or flight system, okay? So for that to turn on, you need methyl groups. But for that to turn off, you need methyl groups. So to turn your stress response on or off, you have to have these methyl groups. I'll tell you right here why you have to have them to turn off the stress response is because the methylation pathway makes acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic nervous system. Very, very, very simplified version of this is sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight, okay? Gets you ready to run from that tiger to save your life. Parasympathetic nervous system is your growth, your repair, your digestion, your sleep. So please, I encourage you to watch my stress video to get a better understanding of those two systems and why you need to be able to turn that on and off with ease because you have enough methyl groups. So it also makes something called neurotransmitters, okay? You have to have methyl groups to make neurotransmitters. Anytime anyone is diagnosed with ADHD or stress or depression or anxiety or OCD, what is it that they're told? They're told they have what? An imbalance, a chemical imbalance. The chemical we're talking about is a neurotransmitter, okay? So dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, those are the ones that are linked highly to ADHD, okay? Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that's directly linked to anxiety and depression, okay? Now, methylation also has control over something in your body called homocysteine. Homocysteine is a term you may have heard, nerd word, right? It is a biomarker for inflammation, but it is being studied closely as the main indicator of cardiovascular disease because inflammation in your body means you're at risk of developing any disease that goes with inflammation. So what I want you to do is just close your eyes for a second. Think about a disease you would never want to develop. You never want to get that disease. Now, if you open your eyes, I bet it's on my board. So this is all the diseases that are highly linked to inflammation. And I just told you, you have trouble controlling systemic inflammation in your body if you have trouble with your methylation pathway, okay? So cancer, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, all the irritable and inflammatory bowels, thyroid disorders, neurodegenerative illness, neurodegenerative illness, that means Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS, dementia, all linked to inflammation. Kidney damage, asthma, allergies, that means environmental allergies and food allergies, okay? Autoimmune disease, MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, arthritis, and then infertility and miscarriages are also linked to this biomarker homocysteine being elevated in your body. So let's put all that together real quick. Okay, methylation, if you can't methylate, you can't make neurotransmitters. It means you're going to be at risk for depression, stress, anxiety, ADHD, okay? Serotonin is also highly linked, that's one of those neurotransmitters, to gut issues. It's about 80% of your serotonin that your brain uses for its health is made in your gut. That's why there's a such thing called a nervous stomach. That's why digestive issues are highly linked to stress, okay? Because that lack of neurotransmitter is going to cause you all kinds of digestive ailments, okay? It's also no coincidence that the #1 and #2 drugs sold in America are for mood and digestion. So if you cannot make neurotransmitters, those are the issues. Now, if you can't methylate, you can't turn your stress response on or off, okay? One of the #1 things we see in our office of people who can't turn that stress response off are going to be insomnia, chronic fatigue, lack of energy, chronic pain, and anxiety. So anybody who has those symptoms, we start worrying about their ability to produce methyl groups. Now, no methylation means you're not going to turn off your bad genes. I mean, you're going to be susceptible to the disease of your genetic weakness, okay? No methylation also means that you can't detox. You can't take the toxins that are in everything in our world, the air you breathe, the water you drink, the carpet on your floor, the flame retardants on your mattress, the pesticides on your food, the lotions and makeup you put on your skin, the plastics you eat out of, drink out of. I mean, watch one of our detox seminars, watch one of our toxic exposure seminars, and you'll see how important it is to get these things out of your body. And then no methylation also means you can't silence viruses. So if you're wondering about, why you're prone to getting viruses so many times a year, or why you keep having outbreaks with viruses that just live in our body, like the shingles, the chickenpox virus, the herpes virus, it could tie back to methylation. So, why do we have to make this video? Because that's a methylation cycle. And that's why we need to bring it down a notch so everybody can see what's going on and how one gene in this cycle has to do with your methylation process. That's the MTHFR gene. That's the hot topic. That's the hot button. If you Google it, MTHFR enzyme is what is affecting so many of your abilities to methylate. And as I said, 52% of you have a genetic weakness at that enzyme that is making it hard for it to do its job.